Lancer737, and this time this is for real. We're gonna be streaming now, and the test stream it looked good. Um, Again, comparing this app to the other app that I use, which apparently you're not supposed to mention the other stuff. So there's a purple app, Purple Place for stuff. I'll just call it that. That streaming system is superior because you can even check while in the middle of the stream what the stream looks like, and it just auto sets up everything for you. This one for YouTube is archaic. It never remembers anything that you have saved as a setting, and you have to go through so many different options for customizing the thing as opposed to the purple app. Just, it fixes everything right there and remembers it. So anyway, how's it going, everyone? Don't forget to add me. My friend code is in the top left hand corner. You might notice that I'm a new level now in the middle of this campaign. Well, can I even call it the middle? Maybe it is the middle. Maybe it's just a little bit before the middle, but who cares? Princess Celestia's like, "You're really awesome, man. Here's 15 rubies, and you're now level 169." So I think I have just one more level. Well, let me look. Is it one more level? Quests. Man, this is a huge permanent quest. Okay, yeah, so I have one more level until the next mission for this incredibly long full time campaign. Man, I wonder if people just breeze through that, if there's a special method for it. Well, I mean, there has to be. I guess you have to spend lots of money, real money, to breeze through it. But I hope everyone's having fun with this campaign. This campaign, I'm enjoying it a lot. So here's to get you up to speed. My video recorder malfunctioned, and it did not record part of the campaign story. So before this point, I had to fight a normal storm guard, and Spike was excited because they're going to start allowing them full combat training with the rainbow-fied magic abilities. And that's really cool. Spike himself sounds like he's going to be rainbow-fied, but so far there's no Spike in this game that's rainbow-fied, unless he is an award, which I can't see, and I can only see the final award, and it's pretty cool because it's a rainbow-fied version of Queen, I call her Queen, Princess Amore. Unless he's somewhere between her and what point I'm in at out, no, I can't talk. Unless he's in it at some point between those points, I don't think he's actually in this game, in this campaign. I mean, because like, take a look. Let's go to characters. Probably going to be in Canterlot, I guess. Oh, and yeah, there's a. I didn't show the bios for the chest characters. Excuse me. The award collection completion characters. The future of the Crystal Empire looks bright and colorful. It does. It looks pretty cool. I think a lot of the rainbow characters look fantastic. Let's see if anyone's here. Got two people here. Hello, everyone. Don't forget to chat and subscribe and like. Hit the melee button, please. Um, Celestia looks pretty cool. She doesn't look too different though. Different enough at least to me, except for the wings. I feel like most of the colors you see on her are they just it feels like the normal colors. Cadence looks fantastic. I think her daughter looks a little bit cooler than her. I think Gallus looks freaking awesome with that mohawk on his helmet. Um, Nova and the Oculus, they look, they don't look bad. Rainshine doesn't look bad. I hate to say it, but the colors they chose for Sandbar, they look less than good. I think they should have added some purple or something. Silverstream looks good. Skystar, not bad. Sweetie Belle, I think, has the same problems as Celestia. She almost looks like her normal self. Um, Yona looks Yonish, and Apple Bloom, she doesn't look bad. Does not look bad. Smolder looks pretty cool. I love dragons, of course, so I'm kind of biased in that way. So, what do they look like? I mean, of course we know what they look like. What does the bio say? Smolder found the courage to show her love for the cutest things in life by adding them to her new look. Well, I sort of don't care about her new look. It's the powers that she should be getting that she should care about. But hey, that's just how it is. But that's just what I'm getting at. There is nothing at all for Spike. So hopefully he's some sort of award character for just completing the campaign itself. Oh, and you may have noticed there is something else crazy going on here. This is the first campaign, and I don't think it happened in the very, very last newest campaign, but this is the first campaign that if you go to the Crystal Empire, the characters do not become crystal versions of themselves. That's insane. I that's the whole reason why I normally play in the Crystal Empire because I love seeing crystal versions of the characters because that's about the only way that you will see crystal versions of most of the characters. I am gonna get Crystal Scootaloo here. Sorry, not Crystal. Rainbow-fied Scootaloo. Uh, I I will do it even if I have to conquer some nation somewhere. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Alaska. I don't care if it's the United States again. I mean, it's already ours, but I'll do it again to get a rainbow-fied Scootaloo. um, well, she's not that cool, but I think she's kind of cool. Um, But anyway, you might be wondering, hey, the title's about the coolest MLP fan fiction. And it is. I want to do something kind of cool. I want to go over what I thought was the coolest fan fiction, or some of the coolest fan fiction, because I think we have a lot of great fanfic writers in MLP, in the fandom. And I want to go over Ink Rose's stuff. Ink Rose, she's what really got me into the fan fiction part of MLP. And what I think is really, really cool is the creators and the actors for MLP. They made us feel like we were one big family. And not only that, they made it feel like that a lot of our fan fiction, practically all of it, unless it's like something really messed up, a lot of it felt like it was canon to the show. I mean, you could have extremely good fan fiction that was meant to not be part of the show. It's just part of the shared multiverse. And of course, that's not going to be what I'm talking about. But like Ink Rose's stuff was so fantastic and so likable. I feel like they didn't just have a shout out to her stuff. I feel like they had a shout out to her, period. And there is a character that I think is based off of her, and I do believe she is in Canterlot. If I can find her. Um, Darn, we went through so many characters the other day, which I'm sorry for the recorder messing up. Let's see if anyone's here. Come on, don't forget to do some likes up. Don't forget to talk. Do anything you like. Um, well, not anything you like, but have some conversation. You can even disagree with me and stuff. It's pretty cool. I love debating. Whether it be serious or fictional stuff, I love to debate. I love to fight and argue about calculations and output of things and character feats and stuff like that. Let's see. I could have swore she was here. Well, maybe you'll just have to take my word for it. And there is the newest, hottest thing in Canterlot right now. Rainbow-fied Princess Luna. She's epic. I would love to see what her actual capabilities in combat with this new magic would be. Granted, it probably would be similar as all the main six using their rainbow-fied powers, but still, I would love to see how Luna would use those abilities. Now, besides that, she looks really cool. Really, 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 really cool. It's going to be very hard for any surprise character that may show up as an award to beat her when it comes to the rainbow-fied ones. But I don't think they will. Um, I could be completely wrong. Ink Rose might not be here. So, you know what? I'll just do this. Hold on a second. This is Inky Rose. And a lot of us, including Ink Rose herself, think that she is a shout out character to Ink Rose. I mean, the name is just so similar. It just, it has to be. I mean, like this origin for Queen Chrysalis, it sounds similar to the origin that was crafted for her by Ink Rose. Now, you might be, bringing up the comics and stuff, and I would like to point out in that comic, at the very end of it, it seems as though Queen Chrysalis actually was lying about everything that she mentioned in her own story. So I would have to say everything that's mentioned there should be taken with a grain of salt. And here she is, Ink Rose, one of my most favorite MLP creators. I love her work. So let's get to it. Mostly the MLP stuff, not the, well, obviously not the non MLP stuff, but she does a lot of great stuff. I had some interest in her original work, which is the Dragon Queen. Let's get into the very, very original stuff. Not that. Let's see what she has to say about Timberwolves.
Hello, this is Zeros98, and today I'm going to share with you one of my headcanons. You know Timberwolves, those
Hey everyone, and don't forget to hit the like button. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. Can't talk. The like button. The like button on her videos if you're checking her stuff out too.
big, scary wolf-like creatures made from wood? Well, in my headcanon, those are actually made up of the spirits of deceased ponies. That may seem a little grim, but honestly, I think that'd be really cool. Just think about it for
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. I did not remember this one. I I like most of her stuff, but like the stuff with the Timberwolves, I don't think there's any validity to that. I mean, they could be anything, but I took it as being, a magical evil creature that is dangerous and roams ever free forest and other places too. Yeah, they could be inhabited by the spirits of ponies, but there's nothing really there that makes me think that it leans to that being a plausible theory.
a second. What if any pony that died within the forest's spirit became one with it and took on the form of a wolf once it inhabited the trees? That'd be really cool, and would kind of explain why they would reform every time they got broken down. And what if the reason they wanted to kill ponies and dragons alike is so that they could add more to their numbers and eventually take over Equestria? Or maybe once they're deceased, they just become raving mad.
That could be true, but that doesn't necessarily mean they had to have started as ponies. It'd actually be more horrifying if they're a collection of everything that they've ever killed, but they're all stuck in a wolf-like form. That wouldn't be too different than the Prometheans in Halo, where every single thing that you've seen that is Promethean, even if it's incredibly inhuman in appearance and stuff and locomotion, it still is a human, which is horrifying. Imagine being a human and now you're digitized and you're stuck in the form of a drone, like a commercial drone. That sounds terrifying to me. That's kind of like what she's describing here, but I would not subscribe or think of them as originally being ponies. But you never know.
And there you have it. That's one of my headcanons.
That one was not bad, but that's also not one of the ones I was thinking of. Um, this is a cool one. Yeah.
Greetings, my brony compatriots. I'm Inkros98. Today I'm going to be doing a response video to Brony Curious's Celestia,
Don't forget to hit the like button. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you all like Ink Rose too.
Luna, and the History of Equestria video. While I agree with him on most of his points, there are some things I want to correct, as well as add according to my own personal headcanon. His video is totally correct if you're going into it with his headcanon theories. This video, however, is based upon my own theories. No hate on Brony Curious's headcanons is intended.
I don't remember who Brony Curious is, but that name sounds familiar for some reason.
So, first order of business is when Brony Curious talks about how Celestia and Luna became alicorns. However, Lauren said during a Q&A tweeting session that in her mind, Celestia and Luna had been born alicorns. They didn't become alicorns like Twilight and Cadence. Just look at the Crystal Heart spellbook licensed by Hasbro and the Hub. Cadence was originally born a Pegasus. Now, because Lauren does not work on the show anymore, you might say, well, that doesn't count as canon. But come on, guys, she created these characters. She would know if they were born as alicorns or not, and she had the authority to make that decision. Because Brony
I would like to point out that in the later season, there was a comment from Celestia that did make it sound like that the only alicorns that exist are artificial. But I'd like to say as a counter that that would you could say that what she was saying applies to them not ever having encountered an alicorn that was born after them. G5, I consider G5 to be an alternate universe that branches from another alternate G4 universe, so that wouldn't necessarily count towards that. Then again, even if you did count it, the age of what was her name? Darn it, we were talking about her before in the last stream. I even made a video with her versus Daybreaker. Well, you know what I'm talking about, the main villain for G5. Uh, you could say she was young enough, well, the same age or close enough to the same age as Luna and Celestia that you could still count that as towards my point that after Luna and Celestia and for whatever reason I can't remember her name, the villain of G5, they had never seen any alicorns born, and they rarely had, if you go by the journal, they had next to no interaction with their own culture because most alicorns were gone by then. So I think it's still valid what Ink Rose is saying. Don't forget to debate if you want. Debate and talk about it in the chat.
Curious thought that Tia and Lulu weren't born as alicorns. He was wondering why they were seemingly immortal while Cadence and Twilight are not. Because of Lauren's tweet, this question is easily cleared up. Tia and Lulu are a different kind of alicorn. We'll just call them natural alicorns. Twilight
That works for me.
and Cadence were made into alicorns, so we'll call them artificial alicorns.
That also works for me, and that's some pretty cool artwork right here.
Now, anyway, while Celestia and Luna probably have the abilities of all three species of pony, including Earth, as well.
All three. You're a heretic, Ink Rose. You should know there's a lot more than just three different types of ponies. There's two different aquatic ones: the sea pony, sea ponies and mermares. And then you got the bat ponies, which everyone conveniently forgets about. Sometimes, oh, there is a group of island ponies that I think are called like gym ponies. They're not quite like crystal ponies. I mean, you can also make an argument that crystal ponies are too, but that's no, I take that back. Not crystal ponies. That's just a well, they're in a gray area. The shadow ponies definitely don't forget about them. You could count them probably as a multiversal traveling kind of pony. They definitely live in a different dimension, and they share a lot with Fae from mythology. And they look like they were drawn by H.R. Geiger sometimes, so that's kind of horrifying. So, what else? I know there's more than just that. Oh yeah, there's half dragon, half ponies. You know, kind of like Discord. Although they don't quite always turn out like him. He has some ridiculously powerful magic. But anyway, there's a lot more than just three, Ink Rose. How dare you?
Has naturally born amazing magical powers. In the show, it seems that Twilight just got a pair of wings, and Cadence only got a unicorn horn. We have no idea if their powers were upgraded, or if they became part Earth Pony like Celestia and Luna are. Plus, we can see that they are not immortal, as explained by Megan McCarthy in a tweet, and by the way Cadence ages in the show. Gosh, Twitter is so helpful in resolving headcanon conflicts.
That's kind of cool. And that is true, but it's also because the lore for Luna and Celestia have them linked, heavily linked with the sun and moon. And every time Celestia moves the sun, she gets more powerful and stays youthful. Same for Luna. And if you don't have magic that's linked to the loon, not the loon. Well, I mean, I guess you could have magic linked to loons. That would be loony toony, though. But if you have magic that's like linked to the moon or the sun, which is non-existent outside of Luna and Celestia, without stealing them, bar a few examples that are more techno magical, it drains your magic permanently. You don't get it back, and it consumes your youthfulness and will hyper age you. Celestia had to fix. Great, I forgot his name now. He is the pony version of Ganoff the Grey. Star Swirl the Bearded. Yeah, he and a bunch of powerful unicorns attempted to move either the sun or moon. It permanently removed their magic and hyper aged them, and Celestia had to fix that for them. But yeah, and that also might be an explanation why Celestia looks the way she does, because every time she was moving the sun, it was making her more powerful and keeping her youthful. But then she would have to move the moon, which would probably remove whatever she gained and make her stay in a state that was still youthful, but she wasn't like healthier or more powerful than she was. So moving on.
No. That about wraps up my views on the whole Celestia and Luna being different from Twilight and Cadence thing. Now it's time for the Betrayal of Luna headcanon story. Okay, so we know that Luna got jealous of Celestia and became Nightmare Moon, right? Well, yeah, and it makes sense too. But I always believed it was not just Luna's anger, but also something else that caused her to turn. And ding ding ding, I was right. In the IDW comics officially licensed by Hasbro, it says that these creatures called the Nightmare Forces took over Luna and fed on her jealousy and hate.
Let me know if that's too loud.
Basically, Luna was very jealous, and the Nightmare Forces only made these emotions grow stronger, eventually convincing her to become one with them and turn into Nightmare Moon. The Forces did this to, what else? Take over Equestria. Now we're really getting into some headcanon territory here, so beware! After being taken over, Nightmare Moon faced Celestia and they battled. In my headcanon, Celestia actually won the first round, and Nightmare Moon disappeared into the Everfree or some other place to gain more power. Celestia was...
Unfortunately, what she's saying here would probably have to count as alternate universe, because when she made this the episode where we actually see them fight, we didn't know that at the time when this video was made.
Bravely weakened, however, and did not have the strength to raise the sun, resulting in a long period of night shrouding the land. Meanwhile, Nightmare Moon...
Not gonna lie though, it sounds very metal. I love it.
Gathered a bunch of bat ponies, the only species who truly understood her intentions and wanted eternal night, and formed an army. Celestia, on the other hoof, was trying to regain her control over the sun, as well as providing for her starving subjects, who were slowly withering away without the sun to warm them. Then Nightmare's army attacked Canterlot and ravaged the city, Nightmare Moon herself going after Celestia in the castle. Celestia tried her best to reason with Luna, pleading with her, but she could see that the Nightmare Forces had embedded themselves deep within the Princess of the Night. Celestia attempted to use the elements of harmony on Nightmare Moon to clear her of the forces, but because Celestia did not fully represent 3 of the elements, she was not able to. She knew the only way to redeem her sister was to seal her away in the moon until new bearers of the elements were found.
I would love to see a movie based off everything she just said. Again, it would have to go into multiverse territory, but I still love it. I might actually like it a little bit more than what we finally got as showing what happened in those events.
Once Nightmare Moon was gone, Celestia hid the elements in the old castle she and her family used to live in, the castle of the Royal Pony Sisters. More of this will be explained later. Whew, that's a lot of headcanon to process. We still have some more, though, this time concerning the elements of harmony and their creation. The elements first came around because of a bunch of dangers that were plaguing Equestria after it was newly formed. Star Swirl the Bearded got together with the leaders of Equestria, and they decided on a plan. The unicorns would provide 6 regular gems, and Star Swirl would use his magic to enchant them, making weapons to attack these dangers.
This is what I'm talking about. Like the actual writers and the actors, they made us feel like we were one big family and we would complement each other, even though what she's saying is not quite what happened. What we would later see in what I think was season 7. I think it was I can't talk. Season 7 when we see Star Swirl and he explains the creation of the elements of harmony. This still complements it very well. It's even though it's not 100% accurate. And I just love it. I love her work. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Let me know.
However, Star Swirl was not nearly powerful enough to heavily enchant the stones enough to defeat the great evils in Equestria. Frustrated, he gave up on the project. One of his pupils, Clover the Clever, she, though, realized that the greatest magic in Equestria was, in fact, friendship, since she had experienced firsthoof what power it held on Heartswarming Eve.
Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think Clover the Clever was revealed to be male. Could be wrong, though.
Gathering the friends she had met during that ordeal, she talked with them about what traits they thought were the most important in a friendship. Commander Hurricane chose loyalty, Puddinghead chose laughter, and so on. Clover asked her friends to pick some of the most generous, kind, humorous, etc. ponies in their tribes, and to bring them to her in a week. Her friends agreed, and over the course of 7 days, the tribe leaders chose their ponies. Once all 100 or so ponies were brought to Clover, she began her spell. First, all of the most loyal ponies Hurricane could find step up to one of the gems, a ruby. They concentrated on all the times they had stayed true to their friends, and Clover used her magic to channel these emotions into the ruby. The very essence of dependability was put into that gem. Therefore, it became very powerful and was called the element of loyalty.
That sounds awesome. Again, I kind of think I like that a little bit more, just a little bit, compared to what we got. And I would love to have some fan fiction that complements it so they both work with this and the primary G4 canon.
The same was done to the other 4 gems with their varying elements of friendship, except for the last amethyst. In the last gem, Clover poured in her magic, as well as the very essence of friendship from the hundreds of ponies around her. Once the process was finished, all 6 elements of harmony were whole and bursting with energy and magic. Commander Hurricane, Puddinghead, and the rest of the leaders became the new bearers of the elements, as only ponies with those traits could unlock the gem's powers. Now that the elements have been discussed, let's get into Celestia and Luna's beginnings. In yet another tweet by Lauren Faust, she says that Celestia and Luna used to live in the castle of the Royal Pony Sisters with their parents. I'm about to go into a whole different tone here. Instead of analyzing and guessing, I'm pretty much going into full-on storyteller mode, as I will tell you the backstory I have made for Celestia, Luna, Discord, and even Philomena. This might take a while, so just sit back and relax as I weave this tale.
I completely forget who Philomena is. Oh wait, that's her Phoenix. Whoops. My bad. My bad.
Long ago, before Heartswarming Eve, lived a small race of natural alicorns. They were extremely powerful, wise, and lived much longer than most ponies. Pretty much like the elves from the Lord of the Rings series. With their power, they controlled the workings of the solar system around them and the earth they lived upon. For example, there was a certain family who controlled the weather before Pegasi, another controlled volcanoes and the workings of the earth's plates, and yet another controlled the ways of bee and butterfly pollination and the producing of fruit and honey. They were not gods by any means, however, and only did their part to keep the world in check. They were still flawed and did not control the universe itself, or create it. Now we get to Celestia and Luna's ancestors. Their family was the ruling family, as they controlled the sun, the moon, and the stars. Celestia and Luna's mother was the keeper of the sun and the aurora borealis, keeping the world's magnetic atmosphere in check as well as control.
All this still can easily work with primary canon because we still don't know anything about the alicorns or their society. I personally think they are all gone. And you know what? Maybe I'll make a stream about why I think that is. I mean, besides the fact we don't hardly see any of them and only see artifacts.
Sun. Her name was Lucena, shining light. Their father was the bringer of the moon and the tiny stars, also controlling comet rotations and sometimes meteors. His name was Astrum, or star/constellation. They lived in a castle amidst a beautiful enchanted forest, in which some of the other alicorns lived. Most of the alicorns, however, lived in their own kingdoms and palaces around the globe, such as the crystal alicorns far in the north, and the honey kingdom filled with Pegasi able to pollinate in the west. Every alicorn knew one another, and as such the world was united and at peace for a long time. Celestia was born to Lucena and Astrum first, a beautiful filly with a flowing light.
I kind of have to disagree with that because don't forget some of the alicorn artifacts that we find in the series. They're horrifying dark artifacts. So I don't think they were unified. Or they could be mostly unified, but there was obviously some elements there that didn't care about unification or they wanted subjugation.
Pink mane. They named her after the heavens above them, a beautiful star to shine in their lives and bring joy. Luna came 5 years later, a tiny one colored with the shades of night. She was named for the moon, the largest light amongst the dark of night. She would be a symbol of hope amidst dark times. As the young fillies grew, their parents taught them all sorts of magic, as well as prepared them to take over their parents' jobs as bringers of the night and day. The sisters' lives were filled with joy and love. Every day they would explore the forest around them, sometimes joining their parents on diplomatic trips throughout the land. However, their joy would not last as long as they hoped. A dark shadow had begun to spread. A whole legion of Chaos Bringers brought their destruction upon the lands around the sisters. The two fillies, ages 5 and 10, were hidden within the confines of their castle while their parents
That would be Princess Opaline.
and all the other grown alicorns battled and fought against the chaotic menaces. Weeks later, their mother and father had not yet returned. Scared, the girls stayed within the castle, occasional rumbles and cracks resounding from far away, and stark blackness the only thing outside. When a baby phoenix flew into the castle a month after the girls had been shut in, they finally had the courage to step out into the world. The phoenix by their side, the sisters were shocked to see their world in ruins, and the sky nothing but inky black. The sun did rise again after a few hours. It rose shakily and slowly, as if being pulled by a breaking string. The remaining unicorns of the land were doing this, hundreds of them using all of their strength to lift it high and keep them warm after the long, brutal battle they had watched and cowered from. Their
Part of that probably is true, but also would like to point out there is technomagical devices that the main characters occasionally find that can move the celestial bodies, and I think part of that may have to do with the alicorns vanishing.
alicorns, their protectors, were dead, and so were the Chaos Bringers, ending the war. The ponies of the land migrated farther north and separated into 3 tribes. The poor earth ponies grew crops and shared them with the unicorns, who rose and set
Heresy! Where are the bat ponies?
the sun and moon. Pegasi now controlled the weather, and in exchange also got food from the earth ponies. They forgot about the values of friendship they had used to hold so dear before the war, and began to hate each other and grow bitter. Meanwhile, Celestia and Luna roamed the land alone, searching for their parents, not knowing that they had perished. They had many small adventures of their own and faced a few dangers. They even came upon a strange, tiny creature in a forest who called himself a Draconicus. He said that his name was Discord, and that his mommy and daddy were missing, and he was looking for them. Empathizing with him, the fillies let him join their troop of parent searchers.
And then they all died.
After the events of Heartswarming Eve, and once the elements as well as Equestria were created, Celestia and Luna finally came upon the settlements of the Pegasi, unicorns, and earth ponies. Hiding among the shadows, they watched hundreds of unicorns gather in a large field and attempt to raise the sun as they struggled to do for a full year. Suddenly, one of the ponies collapsed, and then another. The rest of the unicorn's magic wavered. They were so tired of doing the job of an alicorn and could not stand it any longer. More and more fainted from exhaustion. Little Celestia could not bear to see this happen. Keeping it
This part is not far from the truth because, again, like I was saying before, the unicorns were, including with Star Swirl the Bearded, they were trying to move either the sun or moon, and just doing so was permanently removing their magic while hyper aging them.
in mind what her parents had taught her about magic, Celestia rushed forward out of the shadows and stood before the unicorns, using her magic to quickly shut off the spell they were using and stop them from straining themselves. The sun froze, its top just barely peeking over the horizon. Taking a deep breath, Celestia activated her great stores of magic, her horn glowing bright gold. The unicorns behind her gasped as the sun swiftly rose, being masterfully controlled by a mere filly. They became even more baffled as they spotted tiny wings on her back. After the sun had fully risen, a flash of light shone from the filly's flank. Celestia looked around to see her cutie mark appearing on it. A golden sun was imprinted there, the mark of her destiny. Luna and the tiny phoenix, whom they called Philomena, ran out to join Celestia as the massive unicorns surrounded them. Discord, however, stayed behind, not eager to meet the ponies who knew of the way his parents and other Draconici had waged a war against them. The fillies were taken to the Unicorn Castle, where the rulers of Equestria lived and worked. The rulers, including Princess Platinum, Commander Hurricane, Chancellor Puddinghead, Clover the Clever, Private Pansy, and Smart Cookie, questioned the fillies, asking them how in Equestria they were alicorns, and how the White One had risen the sun. Star Swirl the Bearded had also attended this interrogation, but he mostly sat in silence, looking at the fillies intently. Soon, the leaders found out that before them stood the daughters of the most powerful alicorns who had ever lived. The fillies were immediately taken in by the leaders, knowing that the fillies were next in the royal line. And so the girls were raised within the mountain castle of Equestria, the city built around it becoming known as the capital of the country, Canterlot. During this time, Luna learned how to raise the moon and gained her cutie mark, and both girls learned many new spells from Star Swirl.
That part also is complimentary. If we go by the source books, Luna and Celestia didn't even know how to do alicorn magic, let alone unicorn magic. Star Swirl had learned a little bit about alicorn magic and even took them to one of the abandoned cities to show them some of the remaining artifacts so that they could look through.
They were also given more flying lessons by Pegasi, and built up physical strength thanks to Earth Pony training. The two ponies also played with Discord, who hid from the other ponies in fear of being prosecuted for being part of the war. He never told this to Celestia or Luna, though. Once the leaders grew old, Celestia and Luna were crowned the sole princesses of Equestria. Because alicorns aged much slower than normal ponies, the girls only had the minds of teenagers at the time, despite being older in reality. Their peaceful reign was a golden time throughout Equestria and would last for many years to come. And there you have it. That's pretty much my headcanon backstory for Tia and Luna.
And she did a very good job for back then with what little we had. Because I don't even think the two sisters' journal existed back then.
At least until Discord turned against them. That's something I'll save for another video. So, did you all like this video? If so, please like, share, or comment. Every single time you all do this, it's very helpful and meaningful to me. Also, did I successfully change your headcanon about the royal city?
Chat, tell me, did she successfully change your headcanon? Let's take a look at what she thought about Discord.
It's never been a better time to invest in your future. Learn at your own pace from leading universities and companies like...
Hi everypony! Today I'm going to be doing a continuation headcanon backstory from my previous video, Celestia, Luna, and the History of Equestria. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest that you do. You won't understand too much of this video unless you do so. The link to it is in the description. In this video, I will be discussing the fall of Discord. Basically, how and why he turned against Celestia and Luna. This is a major headcanon video, so don't watch it unless you are open to new headcanon ideas or just want to listen to a good story. Now let's begin where we left off. Celestia and Luna had just been crowned as the princesses of Equestria, and a new era of peace had begun. Both sisters loved their kingdom dearly, and did everything they could to keep their subjects happy. Discord, however, did not take the news of the coronation happily. Having his only company be swept into a busy world of politics made him feel even more alone than he already was. Celestia and Luna no longer...
I hate to say it, but his demeanor kind of doesn't work, unless you count it as alternate universe.
wished to play as much as they had used to, since they had many new responsibilities. They also wanted to act in a mature manner, so they did not want to play tricks on others with Discord either. Discord was beginning to grow agitated, so he tried to have a little fun by himself at the expense of others. As Celestia and Luna worked, he began to use his
That blue fire looks sick. Had to let you know that.
chaotic magic to secretly play small tricks on the royal guard and other ponies who visited the castle.
Gradually, his pranks grew more and more mean-spirited and daring, until one day, when an important griffin leader visited the castle, Discord turned himself invisible and used his magic to turn the griffin into a large chicken, as the leader was talking to the princesses. Naturally, the griffin
Oh my gosh. He turned them into Scootaloo.
was outraged, and Celestia and Luna apologized profusely, completely embarrassed as they attempted to use their magic to change him back. Unfortunately, none of
Oh, did you catch that? Um, they have Princess Celestia talking like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and Princess Luna is speaking like Marty McFly. That, that would be a crazy fanfic, but unfortunately for them, they already have the time machine from that series and some parallels and parodies with that series involved with Doctor Hooves and Derpy, I believe. I never got to see that stuff. I would like to. It was pretty popular from my understanding.
the spells they tried worked, except the one that allowed the griffin to speak again. It was then that Discord burst out laughing, not bothering to keep himself invisible anymore. The royal guards, upon seeing a Draconicus, attempted to subdue him, but Discord promptly turned them into various harmless rodents, such as mice and squirrels with large fluffy tails. Enraged,
Wait, raccoons aren't rodents. Are you insane?
the princesses told Discord to immediately turn everyone back to normal. But he just roared with laughter as the oversized griffin chicken tried fruitlessly to fly up and peck him. Eventually, Discord turned both the griffin and the guards back to normal, turning himself invisible once again and performing a memory spell on them to make them forget what had happened. The spell did not work on Celestia and Luna, though, and both of the princesses excused themselves from the room. They talked with Discord, chastising him greatly and telling him what he had done could have damaged relations with the griffins long term. They told him not to play tricks anymore, since they could potentially get so reckless that ponies could be seriously hurt. Discord grew angry. He explained that the princesses never wanted to have fun anymore, that they were much too serious. Weeks passed, and Discord was becoming even more bored and agitated. His tricks were starting to become dangerous, just as the princesses had predicted. One time, he terrified a bunch of school fillies when they went to the Canterlot Museum, animating one of the dragon skeletons to roar and chase after them. Another time, he temporarily took away the horns, wings, and earth pony strength of all the royal guards, rendering them fumbling to defend themselves as they were attacked by a rain of Discord-induced paintballs. Dripping with paint, the royal guards reported what had happened to them to the princesses, who immediately knew who had caused it.
Could be worse. Could have been chocolate rain.
The sisters sought out Discord and confronted him. "You need to stop," they told him.
I love that picture. Look, they're about to destroy each other in that picture.
"What you are doing is not right. You are hurting these ponies, and if you keep going with your horrid tricks, worse things may happen." "What about me?" Discord replied with a sneer. "I've been ignored and hidden for too many years, shut in like a prisoner. You have no right to do that to me." It was then that the Draconicus realized something. Old memories bubbled up to the surface about the war and of his parents.
Okay, chat. I have a question for you. Which story do you like more? The origin story for Luna and Celestia, or Discord? And also, who would win in this fight here in this picture that I have paused on right here? Celestia or Discord? Put 1 in chat for Celestia, 2 for Discord.
It was as if his destiny was calling him, beckoning him over the edge. His mind began to twist in a horrid direction. He remembered that he was the embodiment of chaos. He was the embodiment of chaos, just as his parents had told him so very long ago. And with that, Discord snapped. The rational part of his mind was slipping away, being replaced with all sorts of chaotic thoughts. His destiny was being fulfilled. A destiny he had wanted to avoid ever
That's what happens when you accidentally drink orange juice and brush with mint toothpaste. I do it all the time. That's why I don't go out too often.
since he had first met the two princesses as a very young creature. The embodiment of chaos gave a harsh, long laugh. He could feel his powers growing within him. It was as if his parents were there beside him, whispering into his ears what he was meant to do. Perhaps they were. Celestia and Luna were shocked at what they were seeing. Before their very eyes, one of their longtime friends was becoming a monster. "Discord!" Celestia cried. "Stop, please!" But Discord had had enough. "You were never really my friends," he said. "You just wanted to keep me subdued so I wouldn't become a chaos bringer, just like the ones who murdered your parents. All my brethren wanted was a little fun, but your alicorns had to go and ruin everything. That's why the war even happened. Well now, I guess I should finish the job then. Take over Equestria just like my parents had always wanted to. Let's get started, shall we?" Discord let out another of his cruel laughs, and
That would be creepy if the animation was like what it was before, and then he suddenly changed to this sort of picture that you have normal Discord mode and then attack mode Discord. He's like, I'm gonna really mess some things up for you now.
flew high above Canterlot, using his magic to spread chaos throughout the land. Clouds spewed chocolate milk onto the ponies below, covering them in sticky wetness, while grassy tornadoes ripped the roofing off of houses. All of the squirrels, rabbits, and beavers became large, rabid brutes. Windows and glasses were turned into liquid, and
The raccoons were still raccoons and all carry moon-busting cannons.
gravity in some areas became non-existent. His magic affected the ponies themselves, too. Earth ponies found their hooves turned into rubber, making them bounce all over the place. The wings of the Pegasi were changed to those of insects and made very small, barely enough to lift the ponies off of the ground. They also inexplicably found themselves able to breathe fire. Unicorn horns were transformed into the horns of various animals, and they could only perform one spell. For some unicorns, all they could do was change things into flowers. Others could only cover things in paint, etc. Celestia and Luna were horrified. Crying out for Discord to stop, they flew up to him, ready to fight him to save Equestria, only to have him use his magic to take away their horns, wings, and Earth Pony strength. They fell to the earth. Discord only laughed. He was having such fun. Why hadn't he done this long ago? Weakened and battered, the princesses felt hopeless. The land they had sworn to protect was falling apart around them, and it seemed only they were to blame. But a glimmer of hope shone in the darkness. The girls remembered the elements of harmony, which had been scarcely used for many years because of the era of peace that had come when the sisters had risen to power. They shakily rose to their hooves.
Kind of like this picture, and the story at this point does work with canon, but it looks like they got some of the colors wrong for the elements of harmony. I know it's a little bit too late to criticize it that way now, but I gotta point it out.
The sounds of their subjects' cries echoing in their ears. They had to get to the elements. Racing through Canterlot Castle, the girls faced many obstacles thrown in their way by Discord's powers. But together, they managed to overcome them, and they found the elements of harmony within the bowels of the castle, where they were kept safe with the other treasures of the land. Donning the elements, the girls rushed up to the highest balcony of the castle. Discord paid hardly any attention to them. After all, without their magic flight and strength, what kind of a threat were they? The girls reached deep within themselves and thought of all the times they had used their friendship to benefit each other and their subjects, when they had used it to solve problems and fix political affairs with other species. Friendship had been a big part of their lives, and they would not let Discord destroy their pony friends. The elements of harmony activated, and Discord was bombarded with the pure magic of friendship. As he gave one last laugh, his body was encrusted with stone.
It doesn't look like he's really laughing here. More like, ah!
Can't stop a force of nature. I will return, Celestia and Luna, was the last thing he said.
No, I think the last thing he said was, ah! You can see it in his face. He's not saying that stuff. He's like, ah, ah! It hurts. It's my jokes are turning to stone like me.
Voice echoing through the ears of the princesses. A statue stood before them, glistening in the sunlight. Once their beloved companion, Discord was now a prisoner in stone. Celestia began to cry. Luna comforting her.
At least they know now, though, that Discord will always be there for sleepover parties.
Slowly, the land of Equestria changed back to its normal self. Earth pony hooves were no longer rubber, Pegasus wings were their feathered selves, and unicorn horns could perform their normal set of spells, and were back to their cone-like shape. Celestia and Luna gained back their wings, horns, and earth pony strength. They also gained something new, ethereal manes like those of their parents. The manes represented the height of their powers, a visual representation of the essence of who they were, and their inner magic. The only remnant of Discord's horrid rule was one of his most prized creations, Poison Joke, as well as the memory of him dwelling within the minds of the ponies he had terrorized. Discord was kept in the Canterlot Gardens, where the princesses thought he would be the safest.
Everyone there in the garden, they were turned to stone by Celestia because they messed up her cake. They just didn't add enough sugar, didn't have enough vanilla or banana, and like, boom, turned to stone. She is very picky about how good those cakes are made.
He would be under constant watch there, and no pony would suspect who he really was, side by side with the other statues. Sometimes, when Celestia would trot through the garden, she would stop in front of the prisoner and sit down. She would talk to it sadly, as if it could listen. Perhaps it could. Luna visited it too, but she was only silent and looked upon the prisoner in anger. She did not forgive him for what he had done, nor did she think it was her or her sister's fault.
It wasn't. In the primary universe, before he obviously was imprisoned, he turned them into clowns. That's like the worst thing you turn into.
Eventually, the tales of Discord's reign faded. He was still remembered, of course, but regarded as something of a legend. One day, he would return.
That is also a pretty metal picture.
But for now, Celestia and Luna had a different problem to deal with. The Crystal Empire was under attack by a shadowy menace, and the princesses were prepared to do anything in their power to save it. I'm not a fan of puppeteers, but I've a nagging fear someone else is pulling at the strings. Something terrible is going down through the entire...
We're not going to look at her analysis of other stuff. Let's go with the next one, the origins of Sombra and the Crystal Empire.
Hello, my brony friends. Today I will be discussing my headcanon story for Cadence, Sombra, and the Crystal Empire. Wait, what's that?
Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. That helps out everything. Don't forget to leave comments. Let me know in the chat if you like what I'm playing.
Oh yeah, I redrew my OC because many of you thought her head looked too small. And you were right, so I redrew her. Hope you like this version of her better than the last version. Also, a lot of you have been wanting me to do the Parents of the Main Six, especially Applejack. But first, I wanted to finish the History of Equestria series. So let's get started. But first, warning, this video contains epic headcanon stories and theories bordering on fanfiction. Unless you are open to awesome new headcanon ideas, or just want to listen to a good story, don't watch. Also, you may not understand a lot of this video unless you have seen my 2 previous headcanon backstories. The link to those 2 are in the description. Trust me, you will not understand a lot of this video unless you've seen them first. Ready, set, go. Before the war between the Alicorns and the Chaosbringers, the Alicorns of the land lived in peace. One of the great kingdoms ruled by the Alicorns was the Crystal Empire, ruled by King Rubinus, which means...
That guy looks freaking awesome. What? I want him in the game. We need to contact Gameloft and be like, this guy needs to be in the game. Seriously though, he looks really cool. It's hard to make those lighter. That might be fuse. That's hard to make that look good, especially with silver. But whoever drew that and colored it nailed it.
Ruby. The king regulated and controlled the growth of
And I just love the name too.
crystals and gems within the world's rocks and caverns. His subjects, the crystal ponies, had used to be normal earth ponies, but because of their devotion towards their leader, Rubenus granted them a great reward: to be connected
And Ramo Dash was there before she was born.
with the gems of the earth, and to have the ability to grow crystals with their own 2 hooves. The kingdom prospered, becoming one of the most wealthy thanks to the crystals and gems the ponies grew and sold.
You know, like emeralds and diamonds and like all these super rare, rich materials that you can't find anywhere else except for Bargain Bin, the Crystal Empire, Crystal Rare Gem Walmart.
But while King Rubenus loved how his kingdom blossomed, his mind was beginning to focus on other things. A delegate from the Everfree Kingdom had arrived at the Crystal Castle, a Pegasus mare by the name of Amethyst Shine. She had been sent to check up on
That's a cool name, but the design, well, for me, it's kind of meh.
the preparations for the annual Crystal Fair. But King Rubenus had begun to grow feelings of affection towards the mare. She shared the emotion towards him. Secretly, the 2 of them began to meet, talking and laughing together till Lucena rose the sun at dawn. Their love grew bigger and brighter until they agreed upon engagement. However, an alicorn had never before been wed to a mere Pegasus, and the kingdom was shocked when their wedding was announced. But the king's fellow alicorns could sense the great love that the 2 shared, and grudgingly they gave their approval.
It's been a while since I've seen this, but I think I know where what she's going with this. Picking those 2 colors, and then you're gonna get something that's kind of black, kind of blackish or brownish. So that's their son is gonna be King Sombra. I can tell where she was going with this.
Of the marriage. On the day of the wedding, as a gift to his beloved, King Rubenus grew with his magic a very special heart-shaped gem. And as the couple said their
If I'm right, that would mean this would only work if it was the mirror universe where Sombra was always a unicorn, and unfortunately his world went to hell because of how evil Luna and Celestia are in his universe.
I-do's, they each placed a hoof on the heart, and an extraordinary thing happened. The love they had for each other, the amazing feeling they wrapped themselves in whenever they looked into each other's eyes, the power that caused them to care and have compassion, seeped into the gem. The heart began to glow, and with a bright flash, the heart sent the power of the couple's love cascading throughout the lands. They say that every pony in the world that day felt full of happiness. The heart had reflected the couple's love and joy, sending it across the kingdom, and causing the simple gem to become a powerful artifact, which was named the Crystal Heart. Every year during the Crystal Fair, the Crystal Ponies would send their happiness and joy into the heart. Now the Crystal Empire was not only rich in gems, but also in good feelings that they shared with every pony. A couple of years passed, and Amethyst Shine gave birth to her and the king's child. She was a Pegasus like her mother, born with
Epic fail on my part. I was wrong. I should be. I'm closing down the channel now. I'm suck. I suck at predicting things. I should do away with all my life's work and just call it quits.
pink coat and a mane of purple, pink, and yellow. She was named Cadence.
Okay, well, yeah, it sort of doesn't work. It would be too soon because the Crystal Empire and stuff existed well before Cadence was born. But it's still kind of cool. Again, this could work in an alternate universe, but definitely not the main one.
Because her father was an alicorn, the Pegasus baby also had inept magical abilities. She did not have a horn, but she had a special magical aura about her, resulting in her ability to spread love and happiness wherever she went. But one day, the joy of the kingdom suddenly turned to fear. The Chaos Bringers had started a war on the Everfree Kingdom, fighting against Lucena, Astrum, and all alicorns in the region. But even more frightening was the fact that the Chaos Bringers were spreading, attacking the other smaller kingdoms throughout the world. They wanted to take over, and it seemed like their terrible plan would come true. King Rubenus used his magic to discover
The Chaos Bringers, they're just frickin' rude, man. People are just trying to have, gain capital, just live, sell some crystals, and it's like, no, we want to destroy you and ruin the markets. We also want to completely destroy the landscape and make it all black and cloudy.
Or that two of the Chaos Bringers were coming for his kingdom next, and so he prepared for battle. Fearing for the safety of his subjects and family, he ordered the inhabitants of the Empire to stay within the confines of their homes, while he dealt with the menaces alone. He knew that the Crystal
That's pretty epic. Let's see if it pays off.
Army would not be strong enough to go against the threat, and that they would be quickly killed if they dared trying to fight the Chaos Bringers. As the residents of the Crystal Empire cowered within their abodes, King Rubenus flew to the outskirts of the kingdom. He could see his two enemies in the distance, getting closer and closer to their target. But the king stood tall, not letting fear cloud his thinking. Then, the Chaos Bringers attacked. King Rubenus held them off, not letting them get close to his precious crystal ponies. The battle was fierce, the evil Draconici using various forms of chaotic magic against Rubenus. The king in turn used all the fighting spells he had learned during the course of his lifetime, blasting the Chaos Bringers left and right. But 2 against 1,
I want to see an animation of that right now.
the valiant king was eventually overwhelmed. As he lay, battered and
Someone in chat, I know you're watching. You have to animate that right now. Free membership.
beaten in the icy snow on the outskirts of the Empire, the king performed one last spell with the remains of his magic, not wanting the evil Chaos Bringers to ever harm his family under any cost. He sealed his wife and child within unbreakable crystal, protecting them from evil forever. The hated Draconici flying towards his beloved kingdom being the last thing he saw. King Rubenus passed away. But not all hope was lost. A few brave crystal ponies had retrieved the crystal heart, and began to pour their love and happy memories of their king and queen into the crystal heart. It began to glow, sending waves of pure magic rippling across the kingdom. The Chaos Bringers were bombarded with it, and already weakened by their battle with the king, they imploded from the sheer magic of love. Rubenus hadn't thought that the heart could repel evil, only bring good, but he was wrong. Through the power of kindness and the love of ponies, evil cannot survive. Though the Empire mourned the loss of their greatest ruler, they were still glad that they were safe from harm, since communication with the other kingdoms was non-existent.
And she turned it around, and it still could kind of work in primary canon. Congratulations, Ink Rose.
Thanks to the war, the crystal ponies began.
You might be wondering why I say that. It's because, like, I know Amore is supposed to be related to Cadence. She still could be from different lineage. They obviously wouldn't share the same blood that Cadence's mom did, or maybe it did. Maybe it could be the other way around. No, I think she is Alicorn. Well, either way, they wouldn't, they would only share it through her dad. And so technically, even though Cadence would, by default, even though she's in hibernation, could be older than Amore, Amore could still be, her relative.
To search their ranks for a new king or queen. Amethyst shine in her baby Cadence, frozen in time by Rubenus's crystals, were kept in the crystal castle, Amethyst forever holding her precious child close. Years later, just after Princess Celestia and Luna had been crowned, an expedition by a band of equestrian Earth Pony explorers came upon the Crystal Empire in the frozen north. The Empire was thought to have been destroyed by the Chaos Bringers. The explorers brought the news back to the princesses, who immediately visited the Empire and talked with the queen there, a crystal pony named Emerald Beam. She had been chosen by her subjects
I want to see this Emerald Beam right now. I have a feeling just by hearing their name, they're cool.
to rule the Empire after Rubenus had perished. The Crystal Empire and Equestria became connected, and trade between the two kingdoms flourished. Back in Canterlot, Star Swirl the Bearded was looking for a new apprentice to teach in the art of magic. Now that the Crystal Empire had been integrated into Equestria, he decided to take in a crystal pony foal named Sombra. The Grey Colt was an orphan, abandoned by his parents who didn't want him.
Oh dear.
Star Swirl took the colt under his wing, metaphorically, as he knew that crystal ponies could perform simple magic spells, even without the use of unicorn horns. These gifts had been given to the crystal ponies back when King Rubenus enchanted his loyal Earth Pony
Fact check has come back true. We do see Earth ponies using magic.
subjects. Now living in Canterlot, the young Sombra learned many new spells under the guidance of his new teacher. As he grew into his teens, he knew more spells than any of his crystal pony brethren. But he was far from satisfied. Even though he knew more about magic than the other crystal ponies, his magic was still very limited compared to most of Equestria's unicorns. Sombra wanted to be the best, but with his status as a crystal pony, that was impossible. He needed to find a way to gain more power, and he was willing to use any means possible. Every night, Sombra would visit the Canterlot Magical Archives, studying all the books he could about enchanting one's magical abilities. He worked late into the night, often falling asleep over a large tome. One evening, Princess Luna found the stallion dozing, his face plastered on a page of The History of Alicorns and the Origin of Modern Magic. Curious, she stepped into his dream to find him thinking about becoming a unicorn and being the most powerful sorcerer in the world. Luna stepped out of the dream, gently waking up the sleeping crystal pony at her side.
That is way better than what happened to Kylo Ren. Jake Skywalker was about to kill him with a lightsaber. He's like, I had faith in my father. There was good in him. But my nephew, no, I'm going to murder him in his sleep.
Talked with the groggy Sombra about his dreams and grew interested in his goal to gain the mastery of more spells. Soon the two were conversing like old friends, even though they had never talked before, only seen each other around the castle. Though on the outside, Princess Luna seemed interested in Sombra's goal, in reality
That's the look Luna makes when she sees no one is commenting, come on, let's debate, everyone. She's like staring at the comment section. She's like, how dareth you not speaketh?
was wary of the pony. She could tell that he would do anything
Nightmares will come to you all for not speaking your mind.
to achieve his dream, and she feared that he might end up using dark magic. So she kept watch over him in his studies, feigning interest in what he was trying to accomplish.
That is a masterclass move.
Over the next few months, though, Luna began to take a liking to the young student, starting
That is a noobish move.
to root for the stallion. He worked so hard and yet was so underappreciated, Luna identified with him in a way. Soon the two formed something of a friendship, meeting up every night when every pony but the guards was asleep, and combing the archives together. After another few years, Sombra had grown into an adult and all but given up on his dream. Star Swirl had passed away due to old age, leaving Sombra to tutor himself. He studied
Okay, now we're in alternate universe territory. Poor Star Swirl the Bearded went into limbo just like Van Helsing when he tried to exile Dracula into limbo. He did the same thing with all the champions of Equestria, or Harmony, whatever you want to call them, and they were sucked into limbo with the Pony of Shadows and left there until Twilight accidentally brought them back. So yeah, didn't die of old age. Dying of old age would have been better than being stuck in limbo.
the growth of rare black crystals called errant.
Oh, and I'm enjoying this, by the way.
They were worth a lot in the Crystal Empire, as well as Equestria. Curiously, out of all the books
To who? Those crystals are poisonous. Who are buying these? All the aspiring and veteran assassins?
he read, none of them revealed the secret to growing the crystal. Suddenly, Sombra's life turned upside down, as he was
And then he turned into Discord while playing Sephiroth's main theme song.
eating lunch at a restaurant in Canterlot. He heard a great commotion. Rushing outside, he saw a huge Draconicus flying over the castle and laughing maniacally. His chaotic powers were changing the world around Sombra, turning unicorn horns to the horns of other animals, Pegasus wings to tiny insect wings, and earth pony hooves to rubber. Crystal ponies were turned to stone every few minutes for short intervals, their crystalline bodies encased in rock like geodes. Sombra saw the princesses fly up to the beast to defeat him, but then the Draconicus took away their wings, horns, and earth pony strength, sending them crashing down into the castle. Sombra ran towards the castle, wanting to see if Luna was safe. It was very slow progress, his body turning to stone every few minutes, and terrified ponies running about, but eventually he made it inside. It was at this moment that Celestia and Luna appeared on an upper balcony of the castle, wielding for the first time the elements of harmony. As they blasted away at the chaotic beast, Sombra came upon a huge discovery. As the Alicorns fought the Draconicus, a stray bolt of power hit one of the walls of the Forbidden Archives, a room in the castle filled with ancient tomes and scrolls written by the Alicorns of old that only the princesses were permitted to read. A section of the wall crumbled, and among the chaos of the moment, Sombra was the only one to notice. The stallion was conflicted. On one hoof, he wanted to watch the battle and be there for his friend. And on the other hoof, the ability to go into the Forbidden Archives was almost non-existent, except for that very moment. Quickly making the decision, Sombra ran into the Forbidden Archives, hurriedly...
Wait a minute. I call sus on this. That looks like Twilight Sparkle. What's going on here? All disbelief is out the window now.
Cracking open ancient books with a devilish glee. The books and scrolls were ripe in knowledge, every sentence seeming to fill Sombra up with the magic he desired. But then, in the corner of his eye, he spotted something that would forever change his destiny. A large, black, leather-bound book sat on a pedestal in the darkest corners of the room.
They call that the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. Don't read it out loud. Sombra, whatever you do, don't read it out loud.
Black crystals grew out of its spine, and across the cover was scrawled...
Never mind, it's not the Necronomicon. You should be perfectly safe saying everything in the book out loud.
Words. Discoveries concerning dark magic and its uses. Dark magic? Sombra had never heard of such a thing, but it certainly sounded interesting.
Joke's on him. It's a book of dark retrowave music notes, and he became the most famous dark retrowave mixer to exist. Granted, he had no access to magic, but who needs magic when you're rich?
He opened the black book.
Well, I mean, unless, of course, someone uses their magic to turn all your money into lead or, I don't know, cottonseed or, I don't know, honey. Well, I don't know, maybe you could still resell all that. It still counts as currency in some form and fashion. Never mind, let's continue on.
And began to read. What he found shocked him greatly. The book had been written by a very ancient alicorn by the name of Umbra, who is famous for being the first alicorn to change himself into a chaos bringer. And
see, that's what I'm talking about. That someone from the MLP official story writers had to have listened to this, and it's like, well, we can't call that person Umbra, but we could use that name for the species of pony, shadow ponies. It's the other name for it. Have that be the name for it, and Ink Rose will get a shout out that way. That we heard her stuff and liked it. That's what I think. Because I got a pony theory.
Turning against his kind. No one knew why he had betrayed the alicorns, but Sombra was starting to realize how. When Umbra was still an alicorn, he had been studying what he had called dark magic. Unlike the pure, friendship and love-powered magic that most ponies used, dark magic was powered by hate and disharmony. Umbra had written about how to use the dark forces in great detail, but the closer Sombra got to the end of the book, the more the handwriting became unreadable. Pretty soon the pages were filled with unintelligible scrawls. Sombra flipped to the middle of the book, where he had found the instructions on a spell to grow arents, the black crystals he had been wanting to make. The only way they could be grown was through dark magic. Sombra followed the instructions in the book, casting the spell. He felt so strange as he did it, feeling like a great, ancient power was churning through him. He felt...
He is now a Sith Lord. Sith Lord. The Sith shall rule all the galaxy, and we shall have peace. Pizza, I mean. You're all gonna die, but you get to have pizza with the Sith ruling the galaxy.
so much more powerful. After the spell was done, Sombra saw a huge errant crystal standing before him, touching the roof of the room. His breath quickening, Sombra eagerly flipped through the book, looking for more spells to perform with this new form of magic. He gasped as he saw a spell near the end of the part of the book that was readable, that could allow a dark magic user to become another species. Sombra could finally become a unicorn. but the spell required the user to channel loads of dark magic through their systems. But Sombra was desperate. Ever since he had first been recruited as Star Swirl's student, the stallion had wanted to be one of the greats, more powerful than any other. And now, he had a chance to fulfill that dream. Taking a deep breath, Sombra cast the...
Another metal picture. I love it. I love to have that in, well, not my room because I don't want to have nightmares. Love to have it in the guest foyer. The first thing guests come into my house, they see the screaming, evil, dark unicorns like, oh, this is what I like to look at when I come home and just mellow out.
spell. He cried out as he felt the hordes of dark magic pushing itself inside him, twisting and corrupting his mind. He shook violently and screamed, his eyes seeping purple smoke, and his body covered in oozing black bubbles. Finally, the procedure was over. Sombra got to his hooves shakily, looking at his reflection in a mirror at the other side of the room. His irises were blood red, and his coat had turned even darker than it had been before. But the most stunning thing was that a long, curved unicorn horn had grown from his forehead, tipped in red. Sombra smiled.
Man, that is also a real sick picture. I think I might actually like it more than the last one that I said was sick.
End of part 1.
Okay, let's get into, I think this video was the very first thing I'd ever seen of hers. And, because when I was getting into it, I looked up all the characters before I really got into the show. I probably shouldn't have done that because, kind of spoils things. But then I was looking at the supporting characters. Not to say I didn't like the main characters. For me, it was like I loved Spike from what I was reading about him. I don't remember what I thought of the other ones. I definitely probably liked Rainbow Dash when I was reading about her. The other ones I was kind of iffy about probably, but I was looking at the secondary characters, and when I saw and was reading about Luna, I was like, heck yeah, that is my character besides Spike. And so I was just looking up everything I possibly could, and I know for sure this is one of the very first things, or close to the very first things I saw.
The castle was empty. It was always empty. As the lone alicorn walked slowly through the halls, she listened to the echoing of her hooves clopping on the floor of the hallway.
Just look how beautiful this place is. And there is some places that are in the primary canon that look kind of close to this, but I love the way this looks, excluding, the obvious battle damage.
The castle was so big, every room cavernous compared to the equine who roamed it. It scared her. Yet it was the only thing she could call home. She felt like she had always been here, always been alone. She tried to look out of the windows lining one side of the hallway, but she could see nothing outside. Crystals as black as the deepest cave covered every window, every door. She could not break them. She could not escape. This place was more of a prison than anything. The pony prisoner shivered and coughed haggardly. Her bluish-purple coat was lined with tiny patches of ice in some places. It was so cold, so very cold. She spread her wings, shaking the tiny icicles off of them. They were too frozen for her to be able to fly, the feathers saturated with ice.
So cold, no one will be making any snowmen here.
Even her horn could hardly use magic. The freezing temperature seemed to have sucked the magic right out of her. She sighed, her breath
That kind of works with the artificial darkness and weather changing magic that was around the northern areas. It's not just naturally cold there. It has like a magical curse on the land or hex on the land that makes it dark with the dark clouds near the Crystal Empire. And if I remember correctly, I think it did absorb magic, so it's hard to use.
Distinctly visible in the frigid air. She continued to walk, aimlessly searching for some form of life, some form of hope. The pony stopped. She had not seen this room before. It was a ballroom. Ice coated the place, making the whole area colored in various shades of blue and gray. The air felt crisp and clear, no sounds daring to penetrate the stillness. Across the vast room, a set of gilded stairs stood, leading up to a small balcony on which sat an ice and crystal encrusted throne. It called to her. She trotted across the ballroom, every echoing step of her hooves resounding around the room and beating down on her harshly, emphasizing her isolation. She slowly climbed up the slippery stairs and sat in the throne. A startling, painful chill ran up her back. The pony gave a cry, closing her eyes and gritting her teeth. Then she heard a noise. The pony flicked her ears, opening her eyes quickly. She gasped as she took in the sight before her. The ballroom was filled with ponies. Pegasi, unicorns, and even earth ponies flooded the dance floor, laughing and talking. The prisoner sat
No bat ponies, of course.
on the throne, her face plastered with a look of great surprise. Slowly, a smile crept onto her lips. Her heart filled with pure elation. For the first time in a long time, she felt joy. The ponies began to dance, a wonderful, haunting waltz, being played in the background by an unseen orchestra. The stallions took the mares into their embraces, and the couples twirled and spun across the floor in perfect synchronization. The mares' beautiful dresses seemed to bring color to the icy realm around the ponies, and the handsome smiles of the stallions brightened the room. The pony watched in quiet mesmerization, her happiness warming up her entire being. Then the music faded, and the dancers stopped. They lined themselves up, stallions on one side of the room and mares on the other.
All jokes aside, I'm greatly enjoying this. I hope you are too. I just love the way she's crafted this story so far. I can kind of see what's going to happen. Part of it is, I think, because I remember a little bit of what happened. But I love this. I love the story building involved in this. And, it doesn't hurt that it's about Luna, too. But I love the mystery in the story. There's genuine mystery and an element of horror in it. And again, I think that's one of the things that's missing from a lot of MLP stories. So whenever I was reading like some of the novels and stuff, when they had that element into it, it made the stories like perfect. I love it. Not to say there isn't any TV episodes that weren't perfect. There are, or close to it. But the horror element is something they should have added a little bit more in the stories.
The huge double doors on the opposite side of the room to the alicorn opened, and a bright light shone into the space. The light melted the ice on the walls away, water cascading to the floor and fizzling away under the heat of the radiance. A breathtakingly magnificent pony stepped into the room, the light that had melted the ice coming from her long white unicorn horn. She spread her massive wings and gave a stunning smile. She wore a dress that seemed to be woven from sunbeams, and atop her head a golden crown glistened. And her mane, oh, her mane, its ethereal mass sparkled and flowed like a rainbow, colored with the shades of sunrise. The prisoner's heart lurched. She knew this pony. She knew this pony. Her breath quickening, the prisoner cried out the name of the pony who shone light, but no sound came from her tattered throat. She tried again, but to no avail. She could not speak, and as she looked around the room, she noticed that none of the ponies had ever once looked at her during the time that they had been there. Giving another silent cry of the name of the radiant pony, the prisoner leapt off of the throne, racing towards the crowned pony. She noiselessly screamed at the one who shone light, trying to get her to notice her. But as she stood in front of the beautiful alicorn, she could only see that none of them could perceive her.
I like I said, I really love this story. I personally count this as canon as stuff that happened in their conflict with Sombra.
Pleading, crying, the pony prisoner reached up towards the one who shone light, standing in her large shadow. She reached out to grasp the crowned pony, to embrace the only one she knew. Her hooves closed around thin air. The ponies were beginning to fade away, the one who shone light fading along with them. Ice was creeping up the walls again, the cold returning in full force. The prisoner extended her hoof to reach the last bit of light left. And then it was gone. They were all gone. The prisoner gave a long, heart-wrenching wail. She could hear her cries now. They echoed around the cavernous ballroom, bouncing back to hit her ears. Her heart seemed to shatter into countless pieces, scattering around the frozen floor like bits of broken glass. As she crumpled to the ground, the ice creeped up her legs, threatening to engulf her. The pony had been deserted by the only souls in her world. She was a prisoner in the hellish nightmare, forsaken by those she had loved. She was alone. Luna! One word, spoken by a familiar voice, snapped Princess Luna back to reality. Before her stood a blank piece of stone wall, framed by a dark door frame, an open wooden door connected to it by 2 hinges. She was in a deep, hole-like cave in the ground, a spiral staircase attached to the sides of the walls leading upwards. Luna quickly slammed the door shut on the wall, her heart beating abnormally fast. "Luna!" said the voice again. A large white wing folded itself over Luna's shoulder. Luna turned her head to see Princess Celestia giving her a very concerned look. "What is wrong? I heard you screaming from higher up the staircase. Are you hurt?" Celestia cried. Luna did not want to speak. Her mind was still processing the harrowing things she had experienced. Celestia grew even more worried, performing a whole-body healing spell on her sister. But she soon saw that nothing physical had needed to be healed.
Yep, it was all spiritual and in the mind.
"Luna, please. I need to know if you're all right. Sombra trapped us in here, but I think I found a way out. We need to stop him." Luna barely managed to say anything before she burst into tears, embracing Celestia as hard as she could. Her sister's warm body seemed to help melt away her fears. Unlike in her nightmare, she now had a real pony to hang on to, one who would not abandon her. Even though she still had no idea what had happened, Celestia began to tear up as well. Seeing her sister cry like that had evoked an automatic response from her. Celestia wrapped her wings around her little sister, hugging her close. Celestia began to sing to Luna, the same lullaby she had sung to her when they were children. "Do not cry, do not fret, though darkness may call, do not forget. I am here, I will stay. Though trials may come, I'll keep evil at bay." The flow of Luna's tears began to stop. She looked up at Celestia and smiled. Celestia gave a warm smile back. The door laced with dark magic had shown Luna her worst nightmare. To be alone, to be abandoned. But when have our worst nightmares ever really come true?
That was a nice twist there. I have time for just one more. So we're gonna go out and with a bang and watch and react to Sombra's Rule and Caden's Origins.
Hey there, my brony friends. Today I will
And again, I hope you're enjoying this. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And again, I hope you're enjoying this. This is what really got me into the fan fiction. I vaguely remember, what I first saw, and I definitely remember out of the first few things I saw from different people, Ink Rose was definitely one of the absolute first ones I saw, and it was that last video that we played that was one of the absolute first fan fictions for Luna I ever saw, and I just loved it.
be continuing my headcanon story regarding the history of the Crystal Empire. Now, before we get started, I'd like to say that if you have not seen my other headcanon videos, you should do so right now, as you will not understand a lot of this video unless you have seen my 3 previous videos. The link to them is in the description. Also,
If you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and check it out on our page, or you can listen to my ascertainment of it. Okay, so most of it still works with the primary universe of G4. Some of it doesn't. Discord does a few things that didn't match up with the primary universe. Neither did Sombra. Some of the stuff that happens with the history of the Crystal Empire involving King Ruby. Just forgot part of his name, but he looks epic. He should be in the game. I would love to get him. I don't care if he's 2,000 rubies, 3,000 rubies. I will save up. Well, heck, I'll just get him. There's a few things that look like that you could still headcanon them into primary canon. Push comes to shove, it's all pretty good stuff, and some of it definitely has to be alternate universe G4 stuff. But let's get into it.
don't watch this unless you're willing to listen to new headcanon ideas, or just want to listen to a good story. Now let's begin. 3, 2, 1. Sombra smiled, reaching a hoof up to touch his new unicorn horn. It was beyond amazing for him to have been able to change his own species. Even the great Star Swirl the Bearded could not have done such a thing. Dark magic was truly better than the magic of old, thought Sombra. Taking one last look in the mirror at his new magical adornment, Sombra felt that for once he had a chance to become something more. He had to show Luna, but as soon as he had thought of the idea, he rejected it. He had gotten the horn by going into the Forbidden Archives. Sombra shuddered to think what Luna would do if she found out he had been there. But then a plan formed in his mind.
Considering I know how most of these fights end, he has no idea. He has no idea how angry Luna and Celestia are gonna be. They're gonna flat out kill him and enslave his soul into a block of ice up north. So they're gonna be a lot more than just mad.
He could just as easily say that he had made the transformation spell himself, or that he had found it in the Canterlot library. That way he could share his joy with Luna without her knowing that he had been in the Forbidden Archives. Looking through the book one more time, Sombra found an invisibility spell. He performed it on the book, pleasantly surprised at how easy it was to perform the spell with a horn to channel the dark energy with. He set the invisible book atop his back, strapped it on with 2 invisibly enchanted pieces of cloth he had found on the ground, and rushed out of the room. Through his excitement, Sombra had almost forgotten about how
The picture does not show excitement. He looks like drained. Man, this invisible book is so heavy. Oh, it's so heavy I can't move.
Draconicus had been attacking Canterlot.
Everyone will see him. He's like, dude, is something wrong with you? Do you have heart problems? Is something? Your back looks like it's collapsing. Are you okay? He's like, yes, I'm fine. I just got a hernia is all, but I'm happy.
But now everything looked to be back to normal, and the Draconicus had been turned to stone. In the corner of his eye, Sombra spotted the princesses near the stone Draconicus, with their wings and horns restored. He galloped over to them, yelling at the top of his lungs in a joyful tone. "Luna!" he cried. "Canterlot is saved! Thank goodness! But I have even more exciting news. Look what I..." Sombra froze as the princesses turned to face him. Tears were flowing down their cheeks, and Celestia was putting a hoof tenderly onto the stone Draconicus's head. Luna's sadness suddenly turned to surprise. Sombra? She said. Why is your coat no longer crystal? She gasped, her eyes boring into the horn on the top of Sombra's head. Celestia did also. No, Luna said softly. Then Sombra stood frozen in terror as Luna's face contorted into a look of pure ferociousness.
Yeah. You see this with lightning? Yeah, you should be very terrified.
She screamed at him. What have you done? Sombra gulped and said,
Now I must destroy you.
I found a spell to change me into a unicorn, like we've always dreamed. You used dark magic, Luna screamed, her telekinetic magic closing in around Sombra's throat. Luna, Celestia cried, putting a hoof on her sister's shoulder. You're hurting him. Stop. Luna released Sombra from her magical chokehold and began bursting into a fresh spout of tears. I trusted you, just like I trusted Discord. Now you've both betrayed me. Celestia held her sister close, crying as she gazed.
That is an epic picture right there. Epic setup too. I love that picture they have right there. That is from at least I associate it with one of my favorite fan-made songs I heard. In fact, the next time I stream, I might play it. Yeah, of course, I'm gonna get striked, and I'm not gonna be monetized when it happens. But hey, whatever.
At the stone Draconicus once more. Sombra coughed, his throat still feeling like it was under pressure. He stared at the weeping alicorns. How had she known he had used dark magic? And why? Why were they so sad about the Draconicus being defeated?
Yeah, how could they possibly know? I mean, despite the fact you're no longer a crystal pony, you're now a unicorn that has a jagged shaped unicorn horn. Your eyes are blood red. They have green magic flowing out of the white parts of your eyes, and with purple. And you also look like you're dying from heart disease because in that last picture, your back is collapsing to itself. But no, there's no reason to suspect that you're evil in any way or been touched by dark magic.
More importantly, why was she so angry at him? Celestia looked up at Sombra harshly, her eyes like burning embers. Where did you find dark magic spells? She
Embers that are doused in pink lemonade.
questioned him. I didn't use dark magic. I used regular magic. I don't even know what dark magic is, Sombra lied. Celestia's eyes narrowed. Your horn is the same as the horn of Umbra, the ancient who started the great war of the Chaos Bringers long ago. He was the first to harness and wield dark magic. Dark magic corrupts and destroys those who use it, and the ponies it is used upon. Do you think my sister and I are stupid? Luna raised her head, her eyes like slits.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with yes, he thought that, and thus he's kind of the dumb one here.
The use of dark magic by normal ponies is banned in this nation. What you have done is evil, Sombra. You must be punished, Luna spat. The two princesses stood, their horns lighting up with magical aura. Sombra ran. He was absolutely terrified, as well as extremely regretful for what evil he had done to himself and the emotional hurt he had caused Luna. But then, when Celestia and Luna used their magic to trap him in magical binds, his fear gave way to a torrent of anger. He lashed out at the princesses, using dark magic, the corrupting force fueling his anger even more. The unprepared and already tired princesses cried out as beams of dark magic hit them, sending them crashing onto the ground. The overwhelming burst of dark magic paralyzed them, pinning them to the floor. Sombra broke free of the magical bondages, running out of Canterlot at top speed. He stumbled a few times, the outburst of dark magic having drained his system, as well as
Uh-oh, continuity error. I thought they were in the Crystal Empire.
heavy invisible spellbook still strapped to his back. But something else was happening to the unicorn. His using of multiple complicated dark magic spells had ruptured a hole in his subconscious. The corrupting forces of the dark magic were seeping into it, slowly tearing away the old personality and morals of Sombra and bringing in new, evil traits. As
That is also a pretty metal picture. Man, like she's knocking out of the park with all these metal pictures of Sombra. One, he wasn't even anywhere. Well, I was about to say he's nowhere near close to my favorite villain. I like him a lot. Definitely above the middle, but definitely not like the top. Like it definitely alternate universe Pony of Shadow is my favorite one.
Sombra ran farther
With Garble, the red dragon, which I feel like they ruined him at the end.
and farther away from Canterlot, he grew angrier and angrier at his former Alicorn friend. He had not betrayed her, she had betrayed him. He had finally fulfilled his dream of becoming more powerful, and she had not been happy for him. In fact, she had attempted to hurt him. What kind of a friend did that? Sombra traveled many days, using hundreds of dark magic spells during the period to disguise himself, as well as provide for himself as he traveled. The dark magic had truly begun to change him now. He would incoherently mumble to himself all of the time, twitch his head to the side constantly, randomly burst into menacing laughter, and overall was beginning to go insane, if he wasn't already. Once, as he was madly flipping through the pages of the Book of the Dark Magic, he came
Of course, again, another epic picture of Sombra.
upon the errant growing spell again. Smiling in a crazed fashion, Sombra laughed, thinking about how his crystal pony parents had not wanted him and left him at an orphanage. His dark, magic-fueled anger began to rise dangerously, and the voices in his head began to whisper ideas to him. Crystal ponies were bad. The crystal ponies needed to be taught a lesson. In a rabid rage, Sombra headed for the Crystal Empire, intent on getting his revenge for a blown-out-of-proportion crime. When he arrived at the kingdom, he attacked everything in sight, in full force.
It's kind of weird now. Like I'm hoping we can get some more metal pictures of Luna and Celestia at this point, because again, she's knocked out of the park with all these awesome pictures of Sombra that are brand new. You know, not directly ripped from the TV show, and it's like, oh, but for Luna, yeah, we'll just use stuff from the TV show. Not that it doesn't look good, but it's like, man, I want the same kind of stuff for Luna and Celestia.
His great dark powers. Surprised by the dark magic-wielding pony, the army of the Crystal Empire hurriedly tried to fight back, but to no avail. Sombra's dark powers encasing them in errant crystals. Already knowing of the crystal heart and its powers, Sombra went for the heart, flinging aside any pony who tried to get to it first. Reaching it, Sombra triumphantly used his magic to encase the heart in errant crystal. The Queen of the Empire, Emerald Beam, rushed outside of her castle to find her kingdom in...
Chat, I want you to make a petition to Gameloft to get us Emerald Beam into the MLP game right now. Get out of the stream, make a petition now, and then come back.
peril. She furiously turned on Sombra, using her crystal powers to try to stab Sombra with the crystals she quickly grew out of the ground. But her crystals shattered as they touched Sombra's coat, and with that, Sombra quickly disposed of the queen. Sombra declared
Dang. Yeah, I guess we're not getting her in the game then. She's kind of dead.
himself the new ruler of the Empire, using his dark powers to enslave the crystal ponies who lived within it. He placed the crystal heart on top of the crystal castle, a cruel joke to play on the crystal slaves, who could not fly like Pegasi. The new king also donned the armor and the capes of the previous ancient kings of the Empire, and laid dark traps and secrets throughout his castle. The kingdom went to ruin, the crystal ponies miserable under the leadership of their master, who made them grow and mine crystals day after day without rest. The ponies begged for mercy, but the corrupted king was deaf to their cries. He became obsessed with crystals. The only things he cared about were his crystalline companions. They told him things, said to him how marvelous he was, how powerful he was. His favorite crystal, though, was the large one kept deep in the crystal castle, which contained a purple Pegasus holding her small pink child. Sombra loved this one, talking to it constantly. It was not long before the princesses of Equestria caught wind of
Totally not a sadistic or crazy attribute.
their trouble brewing in the Crystal Empire. Shocked at the news, they immediately donned the elements of harmony and led hundreds of their best soldiers out into the snowy north, on a beeline towards the Crystal Empire. Once they arrived, a fierce battle broke out between the Equestrian Royal Guard and Sombra's mind-controlled Crystal Pony soldiers. Celestia and Luna flew to the Crystal Castle, ready to use the elements against whatever danger that had been plaguing
Please make metal pictures of Luna and Celestia fighting Sombra.
the Empire. They
I know it's many years too late to beg for it, but please.
Entered the throne room, shocked to see Sombra sitting in the crystal throne. Sombra, said Luna, narrowing her eyes. I knew you had fallen to the lure of the dark magic, but I never would have guessed what pain and misery you would wreak on your kind. Sombra let out a growl as he shot Luna a crazed smile. You have always underestimated me, fair princess, and that will cost you. Sombra leapt from his throne, striking out at the princesses with thick tendrils of dark magic. They automatically stepped back, only to feel the floor fall out from underneath them. They tumbled down into a dark hole in the ground, crashing onto the ground at the bottom. The floor above them resealed, leaving the girls trapped in the dark hole. As they used their magic to shine light around the area, they saw a spiral staircase that was wrapped around the sides of the hole. They led back up to the area from which the girls had fallen. Celestia explored the upper portion of the cave.
I'm suspect of this picture. I don't see Celestia here. That definitely looks like Princess Twilight. Well, it came Twilight Sparkle, not Princess. She's not a princess yet. This is suspect.
While Luna explored the bottom portion, both of them looking for a way to escape. Luna soon spotted a door at the very bottom of the hole and proceeded to open it, her eyes widening in horror. But was she?
She's also terrified in the fact that she no longer looks like herself, and now she looks like a pink unicorn. And her magic aura is now neon pink.
Saw is another story. Eventually, the girls escaped the trap and confronted Sombra once more. Their battle raged, Sombra blasting the princesses with attacks made of pure hate and insanity. Celestia and Luna fought back with the elements of harmony, weakening the Dark King with every magical blast. Eventually, the battered unicorn lay beaten on the cold stone floor of the Crystal Castle's balcony, growling harshly. As the princesses prepared to unleash the full...
I don't think he's growling there. I think he's like... He's got the crap kicked out of him with all these different magic spells. He's not growling there. He's, like I said, he's like...
full power of the elements on Sombra. The king gave one last smile at Luna, staring straight into her blue eyes. I will see you again, my dear, he said.
And she said, only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Giving a haggard cough, a shiver rippling through his body. For there is one thing the elements cannot do, and that is keep some pony away forever. I'm sure you'll realize that soon enough, my dear Luna. The elements of harmony released their full power on the Dark King, his screams echoing around the kingdom as his body ripped apart, disintegrating into shadowy smoke.
I was actually not expecting to actually see that scene from the series here. Yeah, so yeah, I was right. I called it without expecting to actually see it in this. Him being killed and his soul imprisoned in ice.
Smoke hurtled toward the ground, the ice opening up and swallowing what was left.
Oh, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't the elements of harmony either. They just flat out used an intense magic laser from both of them that were combined, so you had it on both spectrums. Well, technically with Luna, it's on the lower purple spectrum. It's debatable if there is a purple spectrum, while Celestia would technically count as yellow and a mix of all since it's kind of white too. But, that's for lasers. That's for a different stream.
After the Dark King, the kingdom cheered, their magically infused bonds breaking, and the soldiers' minds clearing of the king's influence. But as suddenly as the ponies' cheers started, they began to turn into screams of...
That's the look that you make when you get your taxes every year. It's like, taxes? I'd rather be dead.
Fear for the kingdom and its inhabitants was beginning to fade, becoming transparent. Celestia, Luna, and the royal guard watched in horror as the city and the ponies around them faded away. Soon nothing was left of the kingdom, the icy snow of the north beating down on freshly cleared ground. Sombra had performed a spell before the elements had hit him, making the Empire fade into shadow just as he had. Their hearts heavy and eyes full of tears.
Cheat move. Guy plays Alien vs. Predator 2. This is exactly what they do. You're about to kill the Predator as a Marine or a Xenomorph, and it's like, LOL, guys, I've got to use the self-destruct button. No one gets any points now.
Princesses and their army trudged back to Canterlot. They had come to protect the Empire, but instead they had caused its destruction. Queen Amethyst Shine and her baby Cadence, still frozen in time in the crystal grown by King Rubinus, were the only ponies in the crystal.
King Rubinus, that's his name. Chat. Everyone watching, you need to stop now or wait until the stream's over. You need to protest the Gameloft. We need King Rubinus in the MLP Gameloft game. You know what? We need an update to Pocket Ponies too, and King Rubinus needs to be in that also.
Crystal Empire that did not disappear when Somber used his spell. The magical crystal encasing the two ponies protected them from his dark enchantment, but the crystal was weakened from this, and over the course of almost 1,000 years, Amethyst Shine subconsciously put bits and pieces of her life force into the crystal, protecting her and her child, ensuring that the crystal would keep on protecting them until the time was right to break free. Eventually, that time did come, and on a day 25 or so years before the return of Nightmare Moon, the crystal finally broke. Amethyst and baby Cadence fell into the snow as the crystal around them shattered.
Okay, this could still plausibly work in the primary universe. Fanfiction saved, game saved.
The snow was freezing, and Amethyst's child cried as her weakened mother carried her through the blizzard. She knew she had to bring the child to safety, and in her weakened state, she had to find someone fast. As the tiring mother and child traveled, the weather died down, and soon they came upon a forest. Beyond the forest was a small village. Amethyst felt very weak at this point. She had given up a great deal of her life force in order to keep her precious one safe and sound. With great remorse, she realized that she no longer had the strength to care for her little princess. Seeing a young earth pony couple wandering through the forest, Amethyst slowly headed towards them, but suddenly felt her legs collapse under her in exhaustion. She could hardly move, but Amethyst managed to gently lay baby Cadence down on the path the couple was taking, and then she dragged herself into a nearby bush, not wanting the couple to see her.
That's so sad. That gets at my heartstrings a little bit.
In her eyes, Amethyst smiled as her heart came to a slow stop. The last thing she heard being the happy coo of her baby as the stallion and mare found her. Cadence grew up to be a lovely Pegasus mare, the most loved in a small village she lived in with her adoptive parents. Though no one knew of her being part alicorn, her natural aura of magic around her from her father caused her to be able to get along with and start friendships with other ponies like no others she knew could. She would sometimes play matchmaker for her friends, using her natural gifts to help mares fall in love with their stallions, and vice versa. Sometimes she would help broken relationships get repaired, or even fixed completely. There was no doubt that the love her true parents had shared had been passed on to their daughter. But there was one pony in the village who did not like Cadence. In fact, she hated Cadence.
It was Queen Opal all along.
Her name was Prismia. She was
I failed you, chat. I should delete my channel now.
an evil enchantress who lived alone on the outskirts of the village and brought misfortune and hate to the town's inhabitants. She wore a special crystal necklace her ancestors had passed down to her from the days when Equestria and the Crystal Empire had traded goods frequently. It was very rare, grown by Rubinus himself. It was the same kind of gem as the Crystal Heart, only much smaller. It amplified any emotions the wearer had and then generated them, making the wearer on a cycle of that emotion. Unfortunately for Prismia, who had not known of the gem's great powers, had worn the gem frequently, even on days of great pain, anger, and sorrow for her. These negative emotions were amplified and then constantly generated by the gem, twisting Prismia into the evil enchantress she soon became. Prismia eventually snapped. She constantly felt so sad, so...
Fact check, is Prismia actually a character that's in the series, or is this just for the fan fiction? I need to know.
mad. She was ferociously jealous of the other ponies in the village, who seemed to have all the love and happiness in the world. Using the gem's power, Prismia stole the emotions of love and happiness from the ponies around her,
Oh, by Prismia, you mean Starlight Glimmer.
wanting it all for herself. The villagers became depressed, feeling empty and devoid of all good feelings they had towards each other. But Cadence knew what was going on. She confronted Prismia and explained to her the true meaning of loving your fellow pony. Then something incredible happened. The gem amplified Cadence's sisterly love and compassion for Prismia and the ponies of the village, and it sent it cascading throughout the town. Prismia's feelings of anger and sadness washed away, being replaced with the love and joy Cadence felt. The crystal necklace had been cleansed of its bad feelings, and Prismia was back to her old self, before she had donned the necklace. Grateful, Prismia gave Cadence the necklace. Cadence put it on, only for it to begin to glow brightly. In an instant, Cadence found herself transported to a strange place. It was as if she was in space, with glowing stars everywhere and empty space spread out before her. It was then that Princess Celestia appeared, and found the young mare.
It was a test all along. I love that picture too.
She was surprised, as only she knew about this place. Then a bright glowing light appeared atop Cadence's head. She began to float, the light growing even brighter. After a flash, Cadence descended, a unicorn horn gracing her once bare forehead. Cadence, in her dealings with Prismia, had discovered the true meaning of love, activating her alicorn roots and transforming her into an alicorn. Greatly surprised at the sight before her, Celestia gasped as long-forgotten memories floated to the surface. As a young girl, she had been to the Crystal Empire during the celebration of Cadence's birth. She remembered Cadence and recognized her now as she stood in front of her. Celestia took Cadence to Canterlot, where a huge celebration commenced, celebrating the return of the lost princess of the Crystal Empire. And so Cadence lived in Canterlot with Princess Celestia as her aunt, which was really more of a term of endearment, though the ponies were distantly related. Cadence refined and practiced her method of bringing love to others, learning to use it in a spell form with her horn. Also, in order to mingle with the subjects of Canterlot more easily, Cadence took small jobs around the city to help out every pony. One of her favorite jobs, though, was to babysit a special little filly named Twilight Sparkle, a filly with a great, spectacular destiny of her own. But that, my friends, is another story. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting my History of Equestria series. With this video, the series comes to a close, though I may do the changelings at some point. Now, it's time for the stories of the parents of the main six, starting with the parents of our favorite Applebucker, Applejack.
Okay, chat. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I think that's going to be it for today. But at least we got to spend some time together and watch some cool fan fictions that I like. If there's anything you would want me to see, make some suggestions down in the comment section once this video is done processing. And, or I mean, like right now, too. Still don't see any comments, though. That's kind of weird. But anyway, peace be with you all. Don't forget to add me in the game. Good luck to you in the game, and have a great weekend. And I love these stories. I hope you enjoyed them.